and welcome to The Extra Mile. I'm Linda Boudreauux. Our guest today is Carole GAUBERT. Carole is a member of the Quilters Guild Acadian, and we're talking about quilts of historical or historic significance today. So Carole, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for inviting me.
And let me just take this opportunity to thank the Guild, the Quilters Guild, because you do exquisite work and you do all kinds of wonderful and interesting projects. And so we want to hear about some of that today. So welcome.
Great.
So,
yes.
I guess to start, how did the Guild get started? What's the history of the Guild?
Well, about 22 years ago, a group of ladies who loved quilting said, hey, we don't want the art of quilt to die. And they loved it so much, they decided to have this organization. As you know, we don't need quilts for keeping us warm anymore.
They're no longer blankets on our beds so much.
No, but we can use quilts for designing, for artwork, for table toppers, and just a nice quilt to kind of cuddle up with during the winter, or if you're not feeling so good. You have that nice little warm quilt. It kind of brings memory of childhood or whatever.
It does. It's like a piece of mama.
Exactly, exactly.
It really, really is.
I know, just a little cozy kind of thing.
Yeah, because my mom was a quilter, so when I say that, I mean it. You know, we've got some of her quilts, and they're so special. I refuse to use them because I don't know how to take care of them anymore.
Right.
So quilting has really kind of moved away from kind of the handwork of women that was necessary to maintain the home to more of an artistic and creative expression. Is that fair to say?
Exactly. You know, it's an expression of yourself. You know, techniques have changed. We've gone from doing they used to do a lot of handwork and not so much the machine.
Right.
You know, now we do machine and trying to encourage some people to learn some of the skills of hand doing things as opposed to just, you know, putting together with a machine, a mechanical kind of thing. You know, but you learn a lot of things. You not only learn the skill of quilting, but you learn art forms, you learn textures, you learn colors, and the best part about it, you learn friendship.
Yeah.
Or you earn friendship and you share from one another, and that's the greatest part of quilting or belonging to a guild.
And I think, you know, we think of the old quilting bees when it was women's time to get together and visit and socialize and keep their hands busy. That has not changed so much, has it? That part of it.
No, we have a couple of quilt bees that have spawned through there. There's one group one that I belong to. We've been doing it for over 10 years now.
Wow.
Gotten to a point where we do things other than just the quilting aspect of it. We go on field trips, you know, just to learn about other entities and getting to know each other on a more intimate basis.
Outside of the needle and thread.
Right, exactly. You know, again, you grow from it, and you even learn more skills that way.
So, how did you become a quilter?
Oh, God,
or why
that's a long story.
How and
the
or
guild
why?
was just starting, and a friend of mine says, oh, let's go to the guild. They're going to have little mini classes every month. We'll learn something. I said, oh, I have so much that I have to do. I can't put one more thing on the table. Oh, well.
Silly you.
Yes, right. The three of us that joined at the same time, made a quilt. We went through the horrors of choosing fabrics, and you know, it's quite a challenge if you're not color oriented, such as me, but you learn along the way.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
So that was it, and I fell in love with it. It's a lot better, even though you have to be careful with dimensions and things. It's
something you learn how to measure.
Exactly, but it's not like making a garment, and you have to make sure you stay that size so you can wear your garment.
There you go. There you go. It doesn't matter with your quilt.
Exactly, you know, and you put it over your body, or you put it on the wall, and you get these little kudos about how great it is, and feathers are fluffed, and hey,
and
it's wonderful.
It's good. Before we start talking about the historically significant quilts, and we're going to spend most of today's show on those, I do want to mention, because we had some people from the Guild on not long ago talking about the quilts that you do commemorating and honoring our fallen soldiers. And I want to refer back to that for just a minute in case people missed it and don't know what you do. What is that all about?
It is an organization that, I don't know all the full details about it, but we do make quilts that are honoring the fallen soldiers, and it's given to a family member. It is a national organization that does that. They find the soldiers. It is licensed, so to speak.
Okay,
It's labeled. It's a certified quilt.
That's the word. Yeah.
Right, and it's based on Civil War quilt that they used for the soldiers during the Civil War in battle.
The fabric, the colors.
The fabric, the colors, the design.
Okay.
So that is, and it's just, what we do is just for Louisiana.
You make the quilts right
We
here in
make the
Lafayette.
quilts.
We make the quilts.
Correct, and usually somebody like the block, it's an X shape, the blocks, there's a center for somebody's name. So it could be maybe the family members might have family members that might sign the blocks, or a group of ladies, like one of the bees might do it. So there's all the names on it. They're put together, it's quilted, and it's left there until we find a family member of a deceased military person. It means a lot.
Oh my gosh.
It's very heartwarming. They can never, their memory cannot be replaced. But again, quilts are comforting, and we hope it brings them a little peace.
Yeah, it's beautiful. The quilts are beautiful, and they're specific to each soldier.
Exactly.
And so if there are family members I think we found most of our family members, but not all. So if someone knows of a family member who has lost a military person, there might be a quilt waiting for them. That's true, huh?
Correct. And if you know of a family of a soldier that, please contact the Guild, because we just recently found a girl who was getting ready to move to Hawaii. So it might have been even longer before we got in touch with her.
Yeah. But now you get the names of the fallen soldiers from the military, from the
From
State
the
Department.
military,
Okay,
correct.
So you have the quilts
We
already made.
we have the names of the fallen soldiers. We just don't have the names of their nearest of kin.
Okay, so really it's family members we're looking for.
Right,
Okay,
exactly.
And are you the only group in Louisiana making them?
There is a group that helps in like Charles area.
Okay.
So they help with doing some of it, but
But mostly it's you guys.
majority is guys.
Well,
and
I think that is commendable
the ladies
work.
who are in charge of this,
Yeah.
they work endlessly,
Yeah.
and it's their job, and they enjoy it immensely.
It's a driving passion. It really is.
It is.
As are the historic quilts, and you have a real quilt here, and you have a photograph of a quilt. Let's start with the photograph quilt, because that was the first one. But before we get into that, even what's the whole idea behind a historic quilt anyway? What is it?
It's kind of like, instead of reading a book, you can read a book, but this is an art form that can be visually seen.
A picture's worth 1,000 words. Huh?
Exactly. And then you have the artistry to it, and it gives kind of life to whatever you're talking about.
Okay, so it could be anything. You could do a historical quilt on any historic situation.
On anything at all. It could be, your family tree.
Okay.
The first house you lived in. There's ways to apply it to the fabric. Pictures of your family. Places you've lived. It could be anything at all.
Limited by your imagination. Once
Exactly.
again. Okay.
Exactly.
Okay, but now this one that you brought with the photograph that you brought with us, what is this?
This is the Acadiana'S. They had a celebration in 1999.
Over in St. Martinville?
No, this was in Lafayette.
In Lafayette, okay.
Celebrating the expulsion of the Cajuns or Acadians from Acadia.
Yeah.
One girl says, hey, we've been together about 10 years. We've learned all these skills. Let's make a quilt. So this is what we did. And the top portion tells you in Acadia and how the soldiers and the families who are leaving, they're burning down the houses, and, the ship is waiting for them outside. So that's,
the water's a little rough.
Water's rough, the gray sky, very dismal atmosphere. The hardships they went through, leaving a place they lived. So in the center, it kind of gives you a little outline of what happened to them after they left. There's the little building with a family member watching the children racing horses. And so there's 2 horses there, and we think maybe one of the guys fell off because they were racing too fast.
Okay.
We don't know, but anyway. Then we go down to the dress that they wore, or not
This
costumes.
is after they got here?
This is after they got here. All
Okay.
this is after they got here. The dress or attire that they wore. This is their hunting season. And if you look there, there's a guy with a shotgun, a horse, and somewhere around here is a little rabbit.
Oh.
Back up here, going this way, they're harvesting the moths that they use for Beaujolais, stuffing the mattress, so on. Here, they're working there. They're drying the leaves to make baskets, maybe sewing garments or preparing some of the food, working as a teamwork. Here they had a long weekend, a nice little fete with a little music, a little fun, a little dance, and then their religious belief.
Right.
They still, took time off on Sundays to do their religious beliefs. One cute story about this particular one, the girls who were assigned that section didn't know what a carriage looked like. So they knew somebody in Church Point. The gentleman took the carriages out. They were able to take pictures of the carriage, and now we have the carriage up there. So, you use books.
Everything.
Everything to do that. This scroll shows Louisiana, and the yellow or the gold is the area of Acadiana, where the majority of the Acadians lived when they came down here. Of course, this bottom section is the brightness. You can see how happy they are, and they finally found a home. And the church and the nice little, everything's bright and beautiful. The pond with the little ducks and nice little flowers growing, and the sun is shining brightly as opposed to the dull.
Very different than the dismal, dark and gloomy and scary top picture, right?
Right. This is at the St. Martinville, the Acadian Museum, and I urge anybody who has an opportunity to go see it. It's a beautiful artwork.
Now, that is the permanent home of this particular quilt.
Correct.
Is that right? Now, when you start talking about this, it looks like a lot. I mean, how do you even know how to scale it or to make a person out of a quilt on a quilt? I mean, how do you do that?
Divine intervention. We had a member who was able to draw things to scale. So she would see a picture, say, and she may have saw a picture of a soldier, and she had the ability to draw it so that it would look in proportion.
Okay.
So it's a method of, all this is applique. It's done by hand. It's not done by a machine or iron-on or anything of that method.
For those who don't know, applique means you sewed that on there.
Applique is adding a fabric to another fabric. Trial and error. We did a lot of rearranging with things.
Okay.
Something didn't look just right, took it off, started over again.
So you would make these little people, and then you would just start placing them until it looked right to you.
Yes.
And then you would sew them on there.
Right.
All right.
Right.
So you must have had a gazillion little pieces, huh?
Oh yeah.
Talk about a puzzle.
Gazillion. Right. There, in this particular quilt, there is a common fabric in there, such as the grass. The grass is going to be in each one the same. So there's some continuity.
Okay. To help pull it all together.
Right. The sky is the same fabric. It's just that we only used one section that had the sun because you can only have one sun in a picture.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. And then this is the front, and it's all applique. What does the back of this look like?
Plain.
Okay.
There's nothing other than the label, what it is and who was on it, and documentation.
Okay. Is it hand quilted, or did you on machine?
Yes, it's hand quilted. Everything is done by hand.
How big is this one?
Not as big as this one, but almost. It's probably probably 75 by 90.
Oh, that's a good size.
Yes.
That's a good size.
Yes.
So when you're making a quilt like this, is there like one sort of chief, somebody that's kind of got the overall vision and
Yes.
kind of, okay.
Yes, one of
Okay.
them's kind of a chief, but we all
Right.
have our hands in. We
Right.
may say, hey, you know, that looks beautiful, but then somebody says, I think something else might go. So there's
Work
a conference
together.
in there.
But there's a vision when you start.
Right, and with these two quilts, we had an agreement when we started that there was something that did not look right, that the person who did that section had to agree to relinquish it.
Okay. So you can do
and
this
it's-
kind of work and stay friends.
Exactly. You know, for instance, with the horses, we wanted somebody thought, oh, rocks. So we put rocks in, and it just didn't. I mean, it looked like a boulder. You know?
Okay, yeah.
Took it off. That person was not offended because they didn't like it either, unbeknownst to the other members.
Okay.
But that's an agreement, and I think whenever you work on a teamwork, you have to agree to disagree. And since we all artists, we all wanted the best for this.
Yeah.
You know, and this was our first adventure. This is folk artsy.
Yeah, yeah, it is.
You
You're
know,
right.
a lot of more freedom with details.
Okay. Now the second quilt we're going to talk about is a lot more formal in its approach, and
Yes.
it's and grand. I think it has a grandness about it.
Yes.
And this quilt is for what purpose?
This quilt was to honor the Marquis de Lafayette. It was for his 250th commemoration of his birth. And of course, Lafayette was named after the Marquis de Lafayette.
Yeah.
So we wanted to do something
There we go.
that
Got a nice-
represented the friendship between these two men. George Washington and the Marquis were very good friends. There's a lot of details and a lot of history with it. But the Civil War, or not the Civil War, the American Revolution would not have been won had it not been for the aid of the Marquis
So
in
he was a-
various ways.
He was a pivotal player in our country's history.
Exactly. And he loved this country a lot and said he wanted to be buried on American soil. So he is buried in France, but there is a clump of American soil on top of his.
That's the way to do it. If you
Yes.
can't bring Muhammad to the mountain, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So this is a huge quilt. Tell me about it.
Okay, it's 86 by 96.
And the reason for that size is?
To get everything we wanted to get into it. We wanted it grand. You know, the eagle is a powerful eagle, you know, and it you know, serves the purpose of freedom. So in order to get the eagle and also the shields to be in proportion, that's why
that's what
it's
set the size.
Right,
That's
exactly.
what set the size.
Right.
Okay, so what all is involved in this quilt?
Okay, when we first started, we knew that the background of the quilt, we did not want it to be a solid piece of fabric.
Okay.
We wanted it to be a soft look. So the back of the quilt is 1 by 1 inch squares or 1 by 2 inch square, the entire quilt, with tones of gold and tan.
Now, why did you pick gold and tan?
Softer look,
Okay,
boldness
okay.
at the same time.
So each of those squares that you've seen on your screen now, folks, is either a 2 by 2 or 2 by 4. Those are the two sizes you use, and they've all been individually joined.
Correct,
By machine?
by machine.
Good, because that's a whole lot of hands to do.
Right, exactly. That was hard enough. So then we started off with the eagle being the majestic and being part of freedom.
And you have their names on there. George
Washington's on one
Washington.
side and de Lafayette's on the other side.
Okay.
So then we go to the mural, and they're portraits. They're done with it's a pin and ink kind of thing, tapping a little dots, and I don't know the exact term. I think it's pointillism.
That sounds right. But hey,
I
we're
could
gonna
be
call
wrong.
it that. We're gonna call
Right.
it that.
So that's the two individuals.
So that's ink on there?
Yes.
Okay.
And it's done in such a way that it was sealed, so it doesn't rub off
Okay.
or anything.
Okay.
You know, heat sensitive.
Boy, the patience, huh, guys? The
Yes.
patience.
Oh,
patience,
the artistry
patience.
with this.
Woo-hoo.
You know.
Yeah.
So on this side, it pertains to Washington. The other side de Lafayette.
Okay, so
They have both of their dress swords
okay, we're gonna.
on.
Let's see, she's got to move that camera all over the place.
Okay,
but
all over the place as
that's
we
good.
talk.
That's good because
That's
she's
right.
very good at this.
Good.
So the dress swords are.
Are replicas of their dress swords.
Oh, so that's really what they were.
That's, yeah. I
Okay.
mean, through history, looking through books and so forth, we try to get them as close to what we saw in pictures.
So you all did the research too, then, huh?
Oh, yes.
Woohoo! That's a lot.
Yes,
that's a
we
lot.
were fortunate to have an individual who loves American history.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
that saved, at least she led us to certain areas.
Okay.
We have Washington's family coat of arms. All of this, individual pieces are appliqued. This is appliqued on the gray, the red and the red stars are appliqued onto the white. Details
So
of
each
the
piece is
eagle.
individually appliqued
Right.
on the seal, and then the
Correct.
seal is appliqued onto
on
the quilt.
quilt. And of course, we had to do a border around there, and how do you do that? So that is a yarn of some sort.
Okay.
So that's embroidered
Okay.
on there.
So you have some embroidery there and some embroidery in the writing.
In the writing, yes, around the shields, around the swords
Yeah,
are embroidered
yeah,
too,
yeah.
to enhance it. On the other side is the Marquise family crest. And those are all individual pieces. The blue and the white are separate pieces. The goats are, again, appliqué. There's the main goat with the, and then his mane is added on to that. Eye detail.
Lots and lots of detail.
Claws, very talented individuals.
I am
mean,
so impressed.
This guild
These
has
are
so
Lafayette
many-
women, right? These are all people from right here.
Everybody from this area.
Okay,
Yes.
so folks, you may know somebody to help make this quilt. Good chance of it, huh?
Yeah. Yes, you would.
Yeah.
You would probably, if you know somebody who's gone to a fabric store or going to a quilt shop or going to an art, you may know somebody. The scroll in the middle, humanity has won its battle. Liberty now has a country, and that was written by a quote from de Lafayette.
Wow. Wow, what a great sentiment.
And then at the bottom, in order to kind of balance off the quilt,
Right.
there's the two flags, an enduring friendship, the American flag and the French flag, with the oak leaves, which is the symbol of peace.
Mm-hmm. It's absolutely an exquisite piece of work.
Well, thank you. We are very proud of it. This quilt has been at the Daughters of American Revolution Museum, and it was at another office in Washington. I'm not really sure which office.
Okay.
So it's made its rounds too.
Well, I just want to bring up a little dilemma that we have. This quilt needs a permanent home.
Yes, we would love to have this quilt somewhere where people could see this, not only for the artwork, but also for the history fact
Yeah.
behind it.
Yeah.
I had no idea about some of the history and the involvement of a foreign person in our freedom.
Yeah, yeah. So it's not housed in any particular place right now.
Correct.
So in the last minute that we have, we need to say to people watching today that if you know of a place where we could place this quilt for a permanent exhibit, please let us know, because it needs to be seen. It's not being treated fairly if it's just in somebody's top shelf in their closet.
Exactly.
Exactly.
It was meant to be shown.
Yeah.
To be shown for a lot of people.
Okay, so that's our next challenge. Maybe Lafayette City Hall, I'm thinking, but hey.
Hey, you never know. Somebody out there may be interested in promoting the history of the city of Lafayette even.
Yeah.
And what we're about.
Yeah, so anyway, that's an option. In the last couple of seconds that we have, I do want to just very quickly talk about when and where you all get together and who can come and what's what with all that.
Everybody's welcome. We meet the last Thursday of every month at the Methodist Church on Moss Street.
All the way down Moss, right?
All the way
New
down
Glory
Moss.
Switch.
Right, near Gloria Switch. We have a meeting that starts at 9:30 in the morning. We get business over, and then we have a program. Sometimes we have out-of-town speakers. Then we leave for lunch. Those who are interested can come back in the afternoon, work on projects, or say, hey, I have a problem with doing this. There's somebody there that can help them.
Okay.
And then we have another meeting in the afternoon at 6:30 for those who work.
Okay, so you can make a day of it. If you've never quilted, it's okay. They'll teach you. This is a wonderful group, wants to share, wants to make this happen.
Right.
Carol, it's been wonderful having you here today.
Thank you for
for
having
bringing
us.
these. Thank you for sharing. And thank you for watching The Extra Mile.